I remember back in New York, and you just wowed everybody when you said before today is over, you were going to find that you are more handicapped than I am. And that entire audience literally recognized that when you were finished speaking. In fact, that was many years ago, and to this day, I was on with Cheryl Sidoti, and it was about 2 weeks ago. And I told her that you were going to be in Nashville. And she said, oh my word, everybody needs to see him. Her daughter went on and on about how magnificent you are. And of course, being one of the leading speakers in the world and in the Hall of Fame and many, many accolades, we are so excited and honored that you're going to be with us. And you're going to be sharing some new things with us. Tell us about it.
Well, it's happened, it's all, this life is a journey. And so it's all full of growth. And the day we stop growing should be the day that we probably stop living. That's my personal opinion. And so it's not that I've gotten back any more feeling or that I am any more along the progression road physically than I was when I last saw you. But I have learned a lot about the power of passion for people, perspective on our adversity. We're going to talk about that quite a bit. And then purpose. Every morning we wake up, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, get up early, and what can be accomplished in that time. So passion, purpose, and perspective. We're going to hit that hard.
What's important to me, because I was reading from the American Institute of Stress that 96% of all workers in America today are feeling anxiety and stress. And to me, that's a winning combination for depression.
No question.
Yeah. So you're going to help us with that. Is that correct?
Yeah. I'm not an expert on depression, but I know exactly what it feels like and what it's like to go through a depression. And my equation for depression is simply this. There's this thing called pride, and pride is a marvelous thing. So we have to find that fine line. Too much pride and confidence will create arrogance. Too little will cause depression, suicidal thoughts. When we find that fine line in the middle, that fine line, that allows us to be at our most productive state. We find that fine line where we're humble enough to.
So good.
We're humble enough to be grateful for what other people can. When we're around good people that help me out every day, when I'm around people that help me and assist me to get from Utah to Nashville, because I travel alone, when I'm humble enough to surrender and compensate my weaknesses to yoke your strengths or other people's strengths, I gain more knowledge. I'm more productive. I can earn more. If you want to talk business, the quarterly earnings are up. I'm more healthy. I'm more mentally just keenly aware of what's going on around me. My marriage is better. But when I have too much pride, all that's going downhill. And when I'm too depressed, all that goes downhill. So I've got to make sure when I wake up in the morning, whatever I read first, whatever I put in my mind, whatever I feed my body, that it's positive. Because there's way too much negative out there with social media, what's on the news. And so we got to feed ourselves. There's a lot of positive out there. And it's not hard to find. It's just sometimes the negativity is more noisy. And so it's easier to go to that. Again, I'm not here to talk about the news or talk about wars or rumors of wars. I don't know a lot about that. I just know that I need to feed myself full of positive thoughts. So I'm going to start my day that way.
Well, and that's very, very good. And a lot of people desire to start it that way, yet they don't. I have to go back a little bit because you had a ranch. You loved to feed the elk. Tell us a little bit about your story and how decisions are what actually make your journey, not circumstances.
I'll give you a teaser. So okay. You are right. I'm sitting, my backdrop is an elk. You can see that. There's an elk with horns. You can kind of see that. So I'm in the boardroom of the lodge right now. And my dream has always been to be a rancher. Long story short, I was feeding the elk 23 years ago on an evening, a routine job. I made a bad decision, as you so eloquently put it, Dianna, and I ignored the red light on my tractor. Because I did that, the hydraulic hose did not have enough oil in it to hold the bale in place. That 5,000-pound bale rolled over backwards, landed on my head, punched it to the steering wheel, and this has all been redone. We'll just get right to it. This was all broke out. So new jaw, new teeth, new nose bridge. It broke all the bones in my neck. That's been repaired. There's a scar here. But my spinal cord, as it was then and as it is today, is unrepairable. There's no duct tape, no stitches for the spinal cord. There's no glue to mesh that back together. So that rendered me physically what I am today. That's never changed for 23 years. No feet, no legs. I mean, they're there. They just don't work independently. Midsection, gone. Stomach muscles, gone. 2 out of my 3 chest muscles, gone. And my hands, they don't work independently. And so that's kind of the story in a nutshell. But we're not going to make Nashville about me. I'll use it relatively, but I won't make it about me. We're there to talk about these folks and make this relate to them.
Well, and the reason that I wanted you to share with people is you've never allowed circumstances to stop you. You've made decisions to keep going, and you're going to share with us the decisions along the way to leave a great legacy. And I'm so excited to hear you once again. I mean, what are the key points that you'd like to leave us with today, just as a little teaser to make certain people get to Nashville on March 25th and 26th to hear you?
So we're going to hit, again, a little teaser here. The power of surrendering to other people. I'm going to talk about that. Now, when I talk about surrender, I'm not necessarily saying that we have to say, hey, I'm at fault and you're right all the time. That's not what I'm talking about at all. It's asking people what books they've read, seeking knowledge, what books that you need to read, asking people who they've met that you need to meet. In the professional world, we call it networking. In my world, it's just growing and learning and strategic planning. That's what I call it. And so that would be one. I want people to understand the power of trust. And once you breach trust, it's very, very hard to earn back, and how that is so powerful in relationships, sales, in all around life. And so we're going to talk about that. And then the third point that I'm going to talk about is something that my dad said to me in the hospital. And that was simply focusing on what we have and not focusing on what the neighbor has or what the boss has or what everybody else has. And when I focus on what I still have in my life, despite losing 99% of my body, more has come to me in that process. So we're going to talk about that.
I'm excited about it because I'm a person very much into gratitude for everything that we have every single day, right? One of the things though, because a lot of people will say, well, yeah, that sounds pretty basic, and yet it's really a great foundation. The way you have built relationships. See, I heard about you from my sister who lives in Utah, and she goes, Dianna, you've got to meet this guy. And I heard about you from my brother-in-law. I've heard about you from my cousin in California. All these people say, it sounds basic, yet you got to hear him, because the way he allows you to understand, it's like a blueprint, like a game plan that's handed to you to make your life a better life, no matter what your circumstances. Get out of anxiety, get out of that doggone stress, and just make a lot of money if that's what you desire to do. Give a lot of money away if you desire. And this is a nonprofit event. And I appreciate you caring so much about the kids and helping us with that and making certain they get all the books to learn values and leadership. Thank you so much, Chad. Is there any last things that you would like to say to us today?
Happiness is not complicated. Remember that. It's simple.
It's simple, not easy, right?
I guess it depends on your perspective. I'm just saying, we thought we have to have this blueprint, and so when you say my message is simple, you're absolutely spot on. You're right. Sometimes we let all the chaos and the rhetoric make it complicated, and we don't need to. We don't need to.
Well, I, for one, am very excited about you being there. I'll be taking notes along with everyone else. Chad, thank you for taking your time with us today to give us a little bit of a teaser on why everyone should be in Nashville, right there with you. We only have room for 440, so I trust I'll see you there if you're watching then.